The shocking truth about Noah's 370 days in the ark, what they never told you. The storm rolled in like a beast unleashed, dark clouds swirling overhead, lightning slicing the sky in jagged flashes. Noah stood at the edge of the ark, heart racing, watching the torrent begin. The torrents of rain fell like 1,000 hammers, drumming on the wooden structure that many said would be his salvation. But there was something more profound at play. In those 370 days, a chilling mystery unfolded that changed everything he knew. Beneath the surface of the ark, a bizarre whisper echoed in the cold, damp air. It wasn't just the sounds of animals, the ferocious roars of lions, the ominous hissing of snakes, and the muted cooing of pairs of doves. No, there was something else. A flickering light, soft and almost shimmery, appeared from the farthest corner of the ship. It drew the eye, twinkling like a lost star trapped in the depths, beckoning Noah closer. His hands trembled as he reached out towards it, uncertainty gripping his chest like a vice. That as the months passed, the animals grew restless. They paced and clawed, feeling the weight of captivity, the same way Noah felt the burden of his responsibility. He noticed too that his dreams had grown peculiar, filled with cryptic images of a time long forgotten. Visions of wide expanses, sprawling forests, and blue skies that seemed both familiar and foreign. The ark wasn't just a lifeboat anymore, it was a puzzle box filled with secrets and unspoken truths, and Noah knew he was the key. Yet, each night, the shadows whispered louder, urging him to uncover the truth that lay hidden, but Noah wasn't alone. There were murmurs among the animals. The older ones exchanged worried glances, their eyes flickering with recognition of a struggle he couldn't see. Were they afraid? Or were they aware of something he wasn't? The tension mounted, tightening around his throat. There was too much at stake. Questions flooded his mind. What happened if the storm never ended? What was lurking beyond the wooden walls? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And just when Noah thought he might finally find peace among the sounds of nature and rain, a thundering crash resounded through the Arkansas. The animals screamed, a surge of panic electrified the air. Noah's heart pounded harder than the rain outside. A new fear swept over him. Had the currents turned against him? Or was it the truth the ark had been hiding all along? He moved towards the source of the noise. The flickering light renewed its call. But as he opened the door to the hidden chamber, it was gone. Just like that. The silence swallowed the space around him. What was left behind? And what was it trying to tell him? Noah's pulse raced as he stepped into the hidden chamber, his breath hitching in his throat. The emptiness was a chilling void, an echo of whispers and secrets that pressed against him like a heavy fog. He squinted into the dimness, his heart pounding like a war drum. "Where are you?" he whispered, more to himself than to whatever might be lurking in the shadows. Outside, the storm raged on, thunder rolling like a beast growling in the depths of a nightmare. Every flash of lightning illuminated the chaos around the Arkansas. It felt as if the world was collapsing outside, and with each roll of thunder, the weight of destiny bore down harder on his shoulders. Then came another noise, this one softer, almost like a whimper. Noah turned sharply, instinct taking over. The sounds became clearer now, a low murmur, like the sighing of someone lost. He pressed forward, anxiety tangling with his determination. Was there more to the ark? What if this hidden passage wasn't some random chamber but a portal to truths forgotten? A flash of light flickered in the corner of his vision again, and he reached out, fingers trembling, heart pounding louder as the air grew thick with anticipation. But this time, it wasn't just a reflection. The shimmering glow pulsated subtly, like the heartbeat of the ark itself. Please, he muttered, nearly pleading as he stepped closer. What do you want from me? As he approached, the light seemed to intensify, guiding him. It revealed a wall of intricate carvings, swirling patterns that depicted scenes that blurred time, creatures of the earth, sky, and sea, bound within the patterns of life itself. His gaze traveled upward, where faint silhouettes struggled against the wood grains. They looked distressed, as if trapped and begging for release. Then the room quaked suddenly, rattling Noah's bones. The animals let loose a chorus of terrified roars, the vibrations shaking the very foundation of their sanctuary. Something was changing. Noah stumbled back, breath hitching. He had spent so long convincing himself that he was the one in control of the ark, of the situation, of the fate of the creatures inside. But now, he felt the loss of control, the first cracks in his confidence. A layer of dread settled deep in his stomach. What was he missing? Had he truly understood the creature he sought to save? With each passing second, it became more evident that the ark was not merely a vessel. It was a prison, an oracle, and perhaps even a harbinger of doom. The realization ripped through him: the animals weren't just passengers. They were the keepers of the ark's secrets, keepers of history, perhaps tied to the very survival of the world. Just as panic surged through him, the gleaming light shifted again, catching his notice. A soft voice tinged with urgency whispered from the shadows, "Find us before the storm does or lose everything." Before he could react, the floor trembled underfoot, and the entire chamber lurched. The reverberation knocked him off balance, and Noah struggled to regain his footing. His world, once steady, felt upside down as a piercing scream echoed through the ark, a chilling sound that rose above the storm, one he recognized all too well. "No!" Noah shouted, racing toward the source of the sound. What tragedy had befallen his charges? What revelation awaited him? The flickering light still beckoned, but now he felt a new urgency in its glow. Time was running out, and the mysteries of the ark promised danger too keen to ignore. As Noah bolted down the corridor, dread buried deeper in his chest, one thought loomed larger than the storm outside. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were all on borrowed time and something wicked was coming for them. What secrets would Noah discover next, and could he save those he had sworn to protect before it was too late? The scream echoed again, a sound that tore through Noah's heart like a dagger. He dashed through the corridor, his breaths coming in frantic gasps. His heart raced, pounding so hard he feared it might shatter. He had to reach the others, had to know who was in trouble, what was happening. The way unspooled like a nightmare, twists and turns that defied logic. The walls felt alive, almost pulsing with each tremor of the ship. He could hear panic rising among the animals, a cacophony of cries that rattled him to his core. They were scared. He was scared. Then he rounded the last corner and skidded to a halt. The door to the main deck stood ajar, swinging slightly as if inviting him, taunting him into the chaos beyond. Thunder crashed overhead, shaking the structure like an angry giant. "Noah!" The voice stumbled over the sound of rain battering against the Arkansas. He pushed through, the door groaning as he threw it open. What he saw made the world tilting around him come to an abrupt, breath-stopping halt. His family stood there, his wife, Miriam, with her hair plastered to her forehead, eyes wide with fear. Their children huddled around her, shivering against the storm. The animals, wild and close together, stared back with bewildered eyes. "Noah, it's Ursel," Miriam gasped, pointing to the rear of the deck where shadows danced around a fallen table. "She's trapped under there. I tried to reach her, but no." The word burst from him like a gunshot. Ursel was one of the younger rabbits, helpless and small. She was one of the last bred from a lineage that held a significant part of the ark's secret. Their future relied on her. "Noah, we can't keep this open much longer." His daughter, Leah, cried, her voice rising over the storm's roar. Panic gripped him tight. The echoes of the whisper from the chamber flooded back, "Find us before the storm does or lose everything." The weight of those words pressed down on him, squeezing his chest. He could feel betrayal sting in his veins, He hadn't wanted the responsibility of this Arkansas. No one had asked for it. Taking a breath, he dashed to the overturned table. Thunder crashed again, and the ark shuddered beneath their feet. He could see it now, Ursula's eyes wide with panic, terror bubbling under the white fur. "Help!" she squeaked, her little voice weak and fading. "Noah!" Miriam pleaded, her face pale. "It's too dangerous. We have to this isn't about us anymore." He snapped, the fear twisting into determination. "I won't leave any of them behind." He heaved the table with all his might, adrenaline surging like fire in his veins. The wood groaned and shifted, and for a split second, he felt hope ignite. But thunder boomed again, stronger this time. The ark was angry. A crack sounded above him, a sudden flash of light illuminating a dark figure, silhouetted against the chaos. Something shifted in the shadows, something ancient and unfathomable. "Noah, get back!" Miriam yelled, but his gaze locked onto the creature's eyes, glimmering like dying stars. That presence felt immense, full of stories untold and truths long buried. With a howl of storm, it beckoned him, threading urgency into every crack of thunder. He could save them. He would save them. But what cost would that come with? The ground trembled. Below him, Ursula's terrified eyes shone like orbs of fate. The storm was pushing closer, and he had only moments left. As he forced the table aside, something deep within the ark roared back in response, sounding a warning that quaked through his bones. What lay ahead was uncertain, but he couldn't ignore the truth. They were not merely passengers, they were part of something far larger, far darker. His heart raced, a single thought anchoring him even as he braced for the unknown: what danger would his family face next? Noah strained against the weight of the table, every muscle in his body screaming in protest. He could feel the storm's fury melding with the creature's ominous presence, creating a pressure that pressed against his chest like a vice. Ursula's eyes sparkled with fear, and that alone was enough to pull him through the suffocating chaos. "Come on!" he growled through gritted teeth. The table shifted slightly, revealing just enough space for him to slide his body under. He could see Ursula wriggling, desperately trying to escape her prison. The echo of her soft squeaks pierced through the noise, cutting through the panic like a knife. "Noah, I can't." Leah's voice faltered, but Noah shot a look over his shoulder. Her face was a picture of mounting terror. "Trust me," he whispered harshly, turning his attention back to the table. He focused, channeling every ounce of energy he had left into the task at hand. Thunder boomed again, and it felt as if the very ark trembled with foreboding that a sudden gust of wind whipped through the deck, scattering the small animals, sending a few of the bigger ones into a frenzy. Miriam staggered back, shielding their children with her own body. "Get down!" Noah shouted, bracing himself against the wooden structure. With a final push, he felt the tabletop lift. The world seemed to tilt as he heard the crack of wood beneath him, a signal that things were unraveling fast. He didn't know if it was the storm or something else, an unsettling darkness creeping closer that he ducked low, feeling the crunch of debris beneath him as he crawled into the small space where Ursula lay. Sweat dripped into his eyes, mixing with the rainwater that poured from above. "I'm here, Ursula," he murmured, reaching towards her trembling form. "I'm gonna get you out." The delicate rabbit shivered, her tiny heart racing in sync with the pulse of the storm. "Just hold on." The words felt like a promise but sounded much more like a prayer. As his fingers slipped around Ursula, he heard a noise that made his blood freeze, a low rumble that wasn't thunder. It echoed through the ark, a sound of something alive. Something that breathed the same air he did. He felt a chill skitter up his spine. "Noah!" "The sky!" Miriam's voice cut through, panic threading her tone. He looked up just in time to see the shadow loom larger, swirling with violent energy. It pulsed like a warning drum, a signal that they were running out of time. In that moment, the ark shuddered violently, like a beast awoken from a long slumber. Noah's grip tightened around Ursula as he pulled her out, feeling her warmth against him amid the frigid rain. Miriam! Leah! Move! He roared, scrambling back toward the chaos of his family. Each step felt heavier, each heartbeat sounding like a countdown. The ground beneath them trembled, as if the very ship was aware of their struggle, rebelling against their survival. Miriam's eyes darted to the dark figure that loomed behind them, the storm swirled around it like a cloak. We have to go now. Noah secured Ursel close to his chest. The creature's eyes shifted, matching the storm's wild fury. He could almost hear it whispering his name, a sickly sweet temptation wrapping around his resolve. Noah! Hurry! It's coming! Leah screamed, yanking him back to the present where danger was far more than a fleeting thought. They ran together, breathless and desperate, as ominous clouds above rumbled like an angry giant awakening from a long sleep. Lightning illuminated their path, revealing gnashing teeth within shadows that clawed at the edges of their world. With every step, Noah felt the creature's presence surge behind him, something dark and insatiable, its intentions shrouded like the storm. He didn't know what lay beyond the door they were heading for, but he knew one truth: escape was a fragile thread they had to grasp before it snapped. The ship shuddered once more, reverberating through the air like the toll of a bell, as a scream tore loose, this one from somewhere deep within the ark itself. As Noah and his family neared the exit, he turned back, the silhouette of that dark figure expanding with the storm. As they burst onto the deck, he wondered, in the depths of all this chaos, how would they truly survive so much more than the raging storm above? And would they emerge unscathed, or would the secrets hidden within the ark come crashing down upon them? Noah's heart thundered. The true test was only just beginning. The moment they burst onto the deck, the world outside greeted Noah with a shriek of wind that almost knocked them off their feet. Rain lashed against his face like tiny daggers, each drop a sharp reminder of the chaos he had just escaped. The storm was alive, and it roared with a ferocity that shook Noah to the core. Where do we go? Leah shouted over the din, her eyes wide, reflecting both fear and determination. Forward! To the front of the ark! He yelled back, wrapping his arm protectively around Ursel. The rabbit quivered against him, her small body radiating warmth amid the cold, biting rain. But as they moved toward the bow, the silhouette that had haunted Noah's thoughts slipped into view, its form twisted and monstrous against the backdrop of the storm. The creature seemed to pulse with energy, an entity that felt both of this world and beyond it. Noah's stomach twisted, dread pooling deep within him like a still, dark lake. Miriam stumbled, catching herself just in time. Noah! We have to do something. She looked into his eyes, desperation clinging to her words. There was no denying that their time was quickly running out, both from the storm and from that chilling presence that stalked them across the deck. Noah! Leah's voice rose once more, frantic and scared. What is that thing? I don't know, but we've got to keep moving, he urged, gritting his teeth. There was a horrifying recognition in its gaze, making him feel like an insect caught in the web of a spider. They pressed on, wind tearing at their clothes and a steady rhythm of thunder crashing above them. With every step, the weight of the creature's stare bore down on them, like shadows trying to snatch them back into darkness. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning split the sky, and in the split second of blinding light, Noah caught a glimpse of something even more terrifying: a door swinging open at the far end of the deck. It was almost as if it beckoned them, promising refuge. Over there! Noah shouted, nodding toward the door. If we can reach that, we might find safety. They raced forward, the storm churning around them, a living entity seeking to swallow them whole. As they neared the door, the creature surged closer, its growl a bottomless echo in the tumult. Noah could almost feel it breathing, a slick coldness wrapping around his spine. Leah screamed, the sound piercing the storm, a raw, visceral cry. Noah! It's right behind us! His heart pounded as he urged his family on. Don't look back. Keep running. In what felt like slow motion, he could see the door drawing near, and with every bit of strength left, he sprinted toward it, determined to reach it before the darkness could consume them. Finally, they were at the door. Noah heaved it open, the sound echoed like a gunshot in a storm, and they stumbled into a dim hallway that felt like a haven. But the relief was short-lived. With a violent crash, the doors slammed shut behind them, pausing their breaths in unison. For a moment, there was quiet. Noah looked around, heart racing, but the feeling of safety was fleeting. The dark figure loomed outside, its claws scraping against the doorframe like nails on a chalkboard. What do we do now? Leah's voice quivered, surpassed only by their shallow breathing. Find a way to barricade the door, he urged, his mind racing. But as he turned to act, a low growl vibrated through the damp air once more, this time sounding impossibly close. The creature was still hunting them, relentlessly pursuing the family even as they sought refuge within the wooden walls of the Arkansas. But then a glint caught Noah's eye. There, on the wall, was something shiny. A symbol he recognized all too well, an inscription that seemed to pulse gently, almost a heartbeat. Noah stepped closer, the weight of dread heavy in the air. What the hell is this? He whispered, drawn in by its unearthly glow. As he reached out a hand, the growl outside morphed into a roar, the storm raged even harder, and the light flickered ominously. The very air felt electric as an understanding dawned upon Noah. Could this be the key to understanding the beast that hunted them? With darkness pressing in, Noah now had to decide to explore the symbol, risking everything, or to barricade the door and fight against the night that threatened to swallow them once more. The clock was ticking down, and he needed to make a choice before time ran out. Noah's instincts screamed at him to barricade the door, to shield his family from the terror outside. But something deep within him pulsed in time with that glowing symbol. It felt like a heartbeat, a promise of understanding or doom. He glanced back at Leah and Miriam, both wide-eyed, waiting for a decision. Ursula was trembling, her small body a quivering testament to the danger they faced. The growl outside intensified, rattling the wood surrounding them. Time didn't just feel like it was running out, it felt like it was disappearing altogether. Noah! Leah cried, urgency lacing her voice. We can't just stand here. What do we do? The growl crescendoed into a roar that shook the air, the vibrations tingling against Noah's skin. He felt frozen, paralyzed by fear and the weight of responsibility. If he chose wrong, it would cost them everything. But if they had any hope of escaping this nightmare, maybe it lay in that shining mark. Wait, Noah finally said, his voice steady, bolstered by a sudden surge of clarity. I have to see what this is. He stepped closer to the symbol, feeling its energy thrumming beneath his fingers as he drew nearer. Miriam pulled on his sleeve, her eyes wide. Are you crazy? What if it draws the creature closer? I can't ignore it. I don't know why, but I need to try, Noah said. He reached out cautiously, afraid of what would happen next. The moment his fingertips brushed against the cool surface, a jolt ran through him, like lightning coursing through his veins. The growl outside transformed, shifting from a roar into a series of guttural whimpers, halting the storm's ferocity for a fleeting moment. What is happening? Leah gasped, glancing at Miriam, who looked equally bewildered. Noah pulled his hand back, breathless, a rush of revelations flooding his mind. It's a link to the creature. I think it understands fear the same way we do. Great, Leah said, sarcasm coating her words. How does that help us? This inscription, it must hold some kind of strength. If I can learn more about it, it might help us confront whatever that thing is. He hesitated, mind racing. But it's risky. We don't know what will happen if I dig deeper. The low sound of claws continued to scrape the wooden walls, a chilling reminder that time wasn't on their side. Noah breathed hard, torn between dread and desperation. We can barricade the door, but what if that only delays the inevitable? What if we galvanize with whatever that thing is? Miriam finished, eyes alight with bewildered hope. Noah nodded slowly. Exactly. But once I dive in, there's no turning back. Before anyone could protest, he pressed his palm flat against the symbol. Sparkling lights burst before his eyes, twisting and coiling in patterns he couldn't comprehend, but it felt oddly familiar. Images flooded his mind, churning waters, chaos, shadows looming, claws reaching, and then a vision of the creature, not as a hunter but as a protector. A revelation meant to safeguard something precious. Noah! Leah screamed suddenly. He snapped back to reality as the door trembled violently, nearly buckling under the creature's weight. Panic surged through him. They were out of time. "Help me!" he shouted to Miriam and Leah. "Start barricading now. I'll keep my hand on this. I can't let go." They scrambled, grabbing anything they could find, a table, loose crates, even a coat rack, anything to fortify the door. Each crash of thunder felt like a countdown, echoing in his chest. The air grew thick with tension, the moment precariously balanced between hope and absolute despair. Noah could sense the creature's anger building outside, an escalating storm of fury, but it was no longer just a beast hunting them. It was a force driven by something primal, something they needed to understand if they were ever going to escape this nightmare. Noah had tapped into something powerful. But now, with danger looming at the door, could he harness that power before all hope was lost? As the barricade began to hold, Noah felt the glow beneath his fingers burst into life, illuminating the dim hall with a brilliant light. The roar outside echoed like 1,000 warnings. And in that moment, he realized, this wasn't just survival anymore. It was about facing the truth behind the darkness. What had been lurking in the shadows was about to break through, and he needed to be ready. Would uncovering the truth give them strength, or would it unleash unimaginable horrors? Time was ticking. The next heartbeat could change everything. Noah's heart raced, each pulse echoing the urgency reverberating through the frail wooden structure. The barricade barely held, groaning under the relentless pressure of the creature outside. He could feel the ebbing warmth of the glowing symbol beneath his hand, pulsing as if it were alive and aware of the terror they faced. "Stay focused," he yelled over the din, straining to keep his hand steady against the symbol. Leah and Miriam worked feverishly, muscles taut with fear and determination as they struggled to block the door. Ursel pressed close to her mother, hands trembling, eyes darting to the door, then to Noah, searching for reassurance. "What if it breaks through?" Leah's voice sliced through the clamor, her hands trembling as she wedged a chair against the door frame. "Then we'll have to trust in this," Noah shouted back, trying to keep the growing panic at bay. "I can feel it. There is something here that connects us, something we can use." Another thunderous crash against the door sent shudders through the air. Then, like a dagger of ice, the door splintered under a merciless talon, a jagged crack forming where no crack should exist. "Noah!" Miriam screamed, her voice a mixture of terror and disbelief. The light from the symbol flickered, causing shadows to dance alarmingly around the room. He began, but just then, a piercing roar blanketed his words. The beast outside was angry. Noah could feel that raw energy coursing through his veins, igniting something deep within him. It was as if he was becoming part of that creature's world, sensing its mood and motivations. In that chaotic moment, images flooded his mind again. The creature not as an enemy this time, but as a protector, a guardian of something vital that lay hidden in the depths of shadows. Noah felt an inexplicable connection between their fates. It was as if the creature was trying to tell him something crucial. "Noah!" Leah's cry pulled him from his thoughts, and he realized the symbolic light had intensified, illuminating the room with a blinding glow. "This is it!" he shouted, breathing heavily. "I need to dive deeper." "What do you mean?" Leah asked, panic edging her voice. "I think the creature knows us. From the past of this place, of everything. Maybe it's not just about fear, maybe it wants something." Outside, the roar grew in pitch, a howl of frustration that mingled with the sound of claw against wood. "Let us not wait to find out what that thing wants," Leah shouted, pushing against the barricade as it trembled, but Noah was resolute. The connection between him and the symbol felt too strong to ignore. "Just hold it together for a few more seconds," His voice rose above the chaos as he forced himself to focus again. With a surge of determination, he pressed his hand fully against the symbol, opening himself to whatever energy awaited him. What came next shattered his mind like glass. An explosion of images and feelings surged through him: pain, sorrow, loss. Also, there was a thread of hope, faint but undeniable. Echoes of ancient voices filled his head, intertwining with thoughts of the creature, guiding him, demanding attention. Don't let go. He heard someone's voice, not his own, call out, a plea buried in the thrill of the moment, blending with the growl outside. As the force from the symbol swirled, Noah felt the fear diminish bit by bit, replaced by an understanding that shook him to his core. The creature wasn't there to destroy them, it was here to protect something crucial. With that thought, a bold idea formed, but before he could act, a shattering roar erupted from outside. The barricaded door buckled, splinters flying as the creature unleashed its full fury against their last line of defense. Noah! It's coming! Leah cried, eyes wide with terror as the barricade splintered even more. And just as the door threatened to surrender, a final pulse of energy radiated from the glowing symbol, spilling across the room like molten light. Had Noah tapped into something strong enough to quell the beast's fury? Or had he unleashed the very horror he sought to calm? The air thickened with tension, and before he could fathom what was happening, the symbol flared one last time. In that split second, the door flew wide open, revealing not just the creature, but a swirling vortex of darkness and light. The world shifted, and he could only stand there, heart hammering as everything he thought he understood began to unravel. What lay beyond was no longer clear and no longer just a creature. It was a path into the unknown, and Noah had to decide, would he step forward into the abyss, or would he pull back into safety? Time hung, teetering on the edge, waiting for his answer. And as he looked into the creature's eyes, he realized he would have to embrace the darkness to discover the truth of who he truly was. But in doing so, could he protect his family from what was lurking in the shadows? Noah's heart thundered, caught between the suffocating grip of fear and the intoxicating pull of the unknown. The creature loomed before him, its emerald eyes gleaming with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the murky veil of the moment. He stood on the precipice, the swirling darkness beckoning, while his family clung to each other behind him, faces pale and eyes wide with a mix of dread and hope. Step back! He shouted, feeling the energy from the symbol burst around him in radiant brilliance. The light fought against the dark, creating a spectral fire that wrapped around his limbs. The creature's form flickered, transforming from an image of terror into something more profound, more complex. He could sense its turmoil, its desires, and the unshed tears of a guardian mourning its lost purpose. Trust it. A voice whispered deep within him, a voice that felt like a memory resurfacing. With that thought, he stepped forward, breaking the invisible boundary that had kept him safe. The room spun, the walls morphing into shadows that shifted and sighed. Noah's senses heightened, he could feel the weight of time itself pressing down, a storm of echoes whispering from ages past. Leah stepped up beside him, hesitant but resolute. We're here, Noah. Whatever it is, we face it together. The creature shifted, its body pulsating as if grappling with the energy unleashed. With every beat, images cascaded into Noah's mind anew, lands lost, battles fought, and the birth of legends long forgotten. The pain of centuries pressed upon him in waves, but intertwined within that suffering was a pulse of life, a flicker of purpose. This creature wasn't just a harbinger of chaos, it was a part of their history, a guardian entrusted with the remnants of a world that begged to be remembered. Noah glanced back at his family, the flicker of the symbol now bright enough to banish the shadows. We need to listen. It's trying to tell us something. His voice was firm, carrying conviction even as the ground beneath them rippled with untamed power. As he spoke, the creature let out a low growl that vibrated through the air. Leah flinched, but the sound shifted, swelling into an ancient melody that resonated with the pulse of the glowing symbol. It was as if the creature was singing an elegy, a hymn to those who had come before. Tears pricked at Noah's eyes, the bittersweet chords tugging at his heart. Why had he feared it so deeply? The vortex grew, swirling ever faster, threatening to consume all reason. Noah had to make a choice. The light of the symbol flared, casting ephemeral figures in its brightness, spirits dressed in garments of time, their faces filled with longing and hope. He was on the verge of grasping something so profound, yet fear still coiled inside him, an insidious whisper urging him to flee. "Don't turn back," Miriam urged, her eyes clear despite the chaos. "We can't walk away from this. Not again." Her voice broke into his hesitance, pulling him toward her. Noah drew in a deep breath, steadying himself. He could feel the threads of destiny weaving through the air, drawing him closer to something beyond fear and anguish, something capable of restoration. He sensed the creature was more than it appeared, perhaps their only path to reclaiming what had been lost. With determination, he stepped fully into the vortex, the energy crackling around him like lightning. It surged forward, threatening to devour him whole. But just as he did, another roar erupted, this time more primal, more desperate. The sound shattered the moment, the walls vibrating violently under its weight. "Noah!" Leah screamed, a shrill note sliced through the melody. "We don't know what it will do." But it was too late. The moment had passed, and Noah was engulfed in blinding light. As the world around him began to unravel, he braced himself for the unknown. At that instant, clarity surged as an unexpected bond formed, a connection that traced back through time, deeper than fear. What awaited him on the other side? Would it be salvation or annihilation? In the depths of peril, the truth would finally surface, and with the looming darkness closing in once more, a heart-stopping question leaped into his mind: who would emerge when the dust settled? Noah's eyes snapped open to a blinding brilliance, every color piercing through the veil of his consciousness. He felt weightless, as if floating in an ocean of light. The roar of the creature reverberated in his mind, a pulse of emotion that morphed into whispers, overwhelming him with visions, fragments of a past he had never known but felt intertwined within his very being. Suddenly, he plummeted through a dense fog, and when it cleared, he found himself standing on a vast, sunlit plain. The ground vibrated as echoes of galloping hooves thundered around him. Noah blinked, shocked to find riders, specters of warriors clothed in ancient armor, their cry ringing with fierce determination as they charged toward an unseen enemy. He could feel the terror they faced, yet admired their strength to stand resolute. "What is happening?" he gasped, his voice sounding foreign to his ears. He turned, searching for Leah and the others. Panic gripped him as he realized he stood alone, the familiar swirling vortex now replaced by a seemingly tranquil but profoundly eerie landscape. Then, like flipping a switch, the scene transitioned. He was thrown backward, feeling the turmoil of war beneath his feet, as if he was being pulled into the very heart of the battle. He dropped to his knees as an explosion of pain radiated from his shoulder. Glancing down, he saw a spectral arrow embedded in the earth beside him. This was no mere vision, he was part of this struggle. The shadows around him thickened, each figure coalescing into the form of the creature, its emerald eyes now blazing brighter, lighting up the scene like a beacon. It was guiding him, showing him the history that weighed upon the world, a burden shared by all those who had come before. "Why?" Noah shouted, desperate to understand, but the creature remained silent, merely pulsating with energy. And then, everything shifted yet again. That he was back in the familiar space of the room, but with a difference. Now, instead of his family, ancient warriors stood before him, their expressions a mix of longing and sadness. One stepped forward, the leader whose presence resonated with strength. "You are one of us now," said a voice steeped in the echoes of forgotten battles. "You've awakened the guardians. You must choose." Choose? Noah's heart raced at the implications. He remembered their faces, the likes of Leah and Miriam, and how they'd stood by him. If he was here, what had happened to them? Had they been pulled into this battle as well? "You can lead them into the final stand or abandon everything," the warrior continued, his voice steady yet carrying an undertone of desperation. "A choice awaits: reclaim our legacy, or watch all we've fought for crumble to ash." Noah felt that familiar whisper of fear creeping back in, a suffocating grip on his spirit. But with it surged something else, the unmistakable bond he had felt when he connected to the creature. Perhaps that bond was their shared strength, a thread woven through time itself, binding him to his family, to the guardians, and to something infinitely greater. The shadows darkened again, and Noah sensed the weight of the choice bearing down upon him. He could either embrace the truth of the past, harness the power bestowed upon him, and stand firm against annihilation, or he could turn away, slip back into the comfort of ignorance, letting the darkness take reign. Noah! Please! Leah's voice sliced through the murky silence that enveloped him, the desperation grounding him back into reality, back to the weight of responsibility. With a steely resolve, he called out into the darkness, "I choose to fight." But with that proclamation, a terrifying laugh echoed around him, chilling the air like a winter's gust. "You think you can change destiny?" The creature's voice resonated, deep and mocking. "You have no idea what horrors await." And just like that, Noah felt the darkness begin to close in, a storm brewing that threatened to swallow all hope. Would he find a way to protect his family and reclaim the strength of the guardians, or would history repeat itself? Sealing their fates in shadows, a twist of fate felt imminent, but this time, Noah was ready to face it. Yet, when Leah's voice echoed once more, now tinged with fear, it revealed a chilling truth. "Noah, it's not just your choice, it's our lives at stake. Will you betray us?" As her words settled in the echoing silence, one fact became clear: their unity was the path to survival, yet the path was fraught with manipulations and uncertainty. What choices would they need to make when the moment of truth arrived? Noah stood in that blinding light, feeling the weight of his choice crash over him like the storm outside. Fight! He had declared, but what did that truly mean? He gazed into the ancient warriors' faces, searching for guidance, only to see their hope fading against the encroaching darkness. "I won't abandon them," he whispered, feeling the pulse of conviction swell in his chest. A tremor shook the ground beneath him, a reminder of the imminent threat. The creature outside rumbled as if sensing the discord within the ark, its roars melding with the wind's shriek, a forewarning that time was slipping away. "Noah!" Leah's familiar voice cut through the chaos, firm yet frantic. "Where are you? We need you back here." He could visualize her, that fierce fire in her spirit alongside Miriam and Ursel. Could he really sever the bond that held them together? Bolstered by their need, Noah grasped his choice. "Together. We can face this, all of us." He shouted into the storm, demanding the energy around him shift. The warriors looked on, nodding as they offered their own resolve, their spirits intertwining with his. A surge of warmth flooded him, and for a fleeting moment, he felt the support of every sacrifice made throughout the ages push against the darkness. Breathing deeply, Noah turned his focus inward, seeking the connection he had felt with the creature. He envisioned how its struggle mirrored his own, a flicker of guardian and protector, neither good nor evil but a force tethered to the very essence of life. "Show me what I need to do," he called, focusing with every ounce of will. The entity pulsed, flickers of light illuminating the shadows and revealing the unseen path. Barriers began to dissolve, merging the past and present, a tapestry of destinies untangled. Each step he took felt electrifying, grounding him as phantoms of the past swirled around him in vibrant hues, their voices chanting in an ancient tongue, guiding him toward resolution. "Listen!" he gasped, feeling reality shift with each beat. The noise of the ark's struggles pressed down, but beneath it lay a melody, a call he could almost understand. "This bond is a refuge, not a curse." "Noah!" Leah cried again, this time more urgent. "Something is wrong." The panic in her voice ignited the remaining fire in him. He opened his eyes, mentally reaching for his family. "I'm coming back," he declared, his voice strong, carrying the weight of his newfound conviction. The world around him distorted, and then suddenly, he was back in the hallway, the glow from the symbol illuminating the space in both clarity and warmth. He felt the rhythm of his family's hearts beating in sync with his own. "Together!" he shouted, pulling them in closer, wrapping his arms around them, holding tight against the encroaching storm. In that moment, Everything changed. An ethereal glow filled the air as Noah closed his eyes and poured energy into the connection, embedding their hopes and dreams within the sacred space. Tendrils of golden light emerged, wrapping around him and his loved ones, intertwining them in the tempest's shadow. No matter what darkness threatens us, we stand united. He roared, feeling the resistance of the storm crackle and pulse around them. Let the storm come. Miriam's voice rose as she stepped up beside him with unwavering resolve. Let it roar. Leah echoed, fierce determination spilling forth even amid the chaos. Ursel remained nestled against Miriam, her wide eyes sparkling with the light of hope. The creature's growl echoed around them, not in anger but in acknowledgement of their fierceness. The darkness surrounding them drew closer, but with their bond illuminating the path, it felt less like an abyss and more like a bridge, linking the past to the present. With a mighty clap of thunder that shook the ark, the skies above them split apart. Light poured in as the creature's roar harmonized with their voices, blending into a magnificent crescendo. Time seemed to still as everything reached the breaking point, a moment suspended between fate and freedom. Their unison turned the tide, pushing the darkness back, unraveling its hold over the Arkansas. Visions of the war, the history, the weight felt lighter as terror gave way to understanding. It was no longer a battle but a revelation, a promise that they could reclaim the lost. Then, in a flash of brilliance, the shadows faded, revealing a new path stretching toward the horizon, a world reborn. With one last deep breath, Noah led his family toward the doorway, now surrounded by radiant light, feeling hope wash over him. Let us go home. He shouted, heart racing with adrenaline. As they stepped through the glowing portal, the past merged seamlessly with the present. The storm outside faded into a memory, replaced by a landscape filled with lush greens, flourishing creatures, and vibrant skies that welcomed them like an embrace. Did we do it? Leah breathed, wide-eyed and marveling. Where are we? This is our new beginning, Noah replied, gazing at the tableau of life unfolding before them. A place where we can remember our past and build our future. Together. In that moment of awe, every emotion surged to the surface: relief, gratitude, joy. They had faced darkness and emerged resolved. The bond they shared had transcended fear, uniting them even against the storm. You're brave, Noah whispered, pulling Leah and Miriam close as Ursel nestled in. The winds of destiny had shifted, and the world welcomed them back with open arms, a testament to love, family, and undying courage. As they stepped into their future, they understood this was not merely escape, it was reclamation. They were not just survivors, they were warriors of light, determined to embrace every challenge ahead. And together, they would flourish. Now, you need to make your move. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Your response deeply impacts this community, and don't just sit there, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this incredible conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to see it. Let's keep this powerful story alive.